Now, I don't think I need to start today by reiterating messages about the amount of less money we'll have in public services in the coming months and about the real need that we do more for less, because I think you'll have heard that a number of times, so I'm not going to repeat that. What I do want to do today is I want to focus on people. I want to focus on the opportunity of the staff that work in the public sector, and I want to think about, or us collectively to think about, how we can use lean and these kind of set of continuous improvement approaches to engage that great asset that we have, which is the staff that work for us. Because there is a risk that in this time of cuts, we will actually disengage those people that really are, I think, our greatest asset. Now, just tell you a little bit about me. I'm a civil servant, full-time civil servant. I convene something called the Continuous Improvement Partnership. Now, this is something that kicked off about 2 years ago. It started when a Director General from HMRC, Bernadette Kenny, approached the Cabinet Office and said that she was aware of a set of change programs around government and public service that were making more of a difference than any she'd seen before. They had different names, different guises, but there was an essence to these change programs that was the same. So staff-led, evidence-based, robustly project-managed, ongoing and continuous improvement. So I've worked with Bernadette for a couple of years and worked with senior people from across government departments to collaborate and to understand what is it about these programs that are really making it work and sharing learning and everything else. We've now got some funding through the National School of Government to actually share this collaboration, hence the word partnership, to give people an opportunity to go and learn and understand across the public sector, what we know about this approach, so to really spread this learning. So also my day job, I'm a national program manager for a set of pilots that are looking at, can you use this continuous improvement approach across a delivery system? And I'm, at the moment, running pilots in the justice system, and that's what I spend most of my waking hours doing. And more recently, I've been advising the Efficiency and Reform Group, so a new part of the Cabinet Office that are very interested in what can this approach do, what role can this approach have in meeting the efficiency challenge. Now, in terms of who I am, I used to be an NHS manager. I worked in an operational role, but also I worked as a change manager. I received a lot of training in this type of techniques. And I guess that part of my career is when I guess I learnt most, and is the kind of the learning that I've brought into this civil service role. Also, my wife works in looked after children's services. My mother's a retired teacher. My father's a retired council officer. My in-laws are a doctor and a nurse. So in terms of a forum of public sector opinion or staff opinion, there's nowhere better than my kitchen table to understand what people are thinking and how they're feeling. Now, at my kitchen table at the moment, people are a bit worried. Now, they're worried about their jobs, but they're also worried about the service they provide. Now, I think it's important that we're honest. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. There's going to be reductions over a number of years. Now, when I was a manager back in the NHS, and this is some years ago now, we used to have these things called cost improvement programs. People heard of those, aware of those? So it was a kind of a 5% year-on-year salami slicing exercise, I guess. And, vacancies weren't reappointed, maternity leave wasn't covered, training budgets were cut away. We don't need training in the public sector, do we? Now, that approach won't work with the scale of challenge we have at the moment. Actually, we need to think about how we work differently if we're going to meet this challenge. Now, the reality of that salami slicing exercise, me, and this is a number of years ago, and I'm sure people like me, the reality is I didn't fully understand, and I wasn't actively managing my business by making those easy salami slicing decisions. I talked about when I went into a change management role and that being a kind of a pivotal point in my career. And that was a time when I received the training and I got the skills to be working directly, in my case, with nurses and doctors, to help them understand how their business run and to improve their business and the service they're providing to patients, whilst also saving money. And when I was in that position, the kind of challenges I would get would be to save at least 10% on overall budget, but whilst improving services as well. And I saw and I understood that that was possible, both with simple tools and techniques, but also by working through frontline staff and doing that in a very kind of engaging and motivating way. And that is why I think this approach is so important to us right now, because I think this is the way that we can continue to engage and to really, utilise our biggest asset, our people, at this critical time. Now, there is hope. I think there is a lot of hope at this time. We've already done a huge amount in the public sector to develop continuous improvement. I'm going to give a quick kind of whistle-stop tour of some of the things that I've seen across the public sector at the moment, improvement programs that are already driving and delivering these benefits. So I do think there's a lot of hope. Also, we've got, in central government alone, we've got kind of 3 full-time lean academies, developing change agents that are working across central government. I know of at least 1,000 full-time change practitioners just in central government that are constantly driving this type of improvement. And that, I think, is a big opportunity for us. Now, some people will say that we can't afford this investment, afford the investment to invest in our people, to train our people to develop this type of approach. And what I'm saying today, and my proposition for you today and for the discussion today, is actually we can't afford not to make this investment in this approach and to develop these skills which will allow us to work through the current situation. So let me give you my whistle-stop tour of the public sector. I was really lucky. I got over about 12 months to take groups of people from the public sector to visit sites where Lean and other CI programs were having real benefit and being really successful. You're going to get a whole presentation later about HMRC and what they've done with this type of approach. Now, in terms of taking this approach to a corporate level and it really being the way they run their business, HMRC have probably taken this further than any of the other big organisations that I've seen in government. They're about 5 years in. I went to a site, NICO, so it's a large processing site, 3,000 staff, and you can see under the benefits there, their productivity gains have really been quite substantial, and they've actually been reducing staff numbers as well. Now, if you see the challenge they were set in 2004, a 30% improvement in productivity, that isn't dissimilar to the challenges we have now. But important to say, this is a large processing environment. NICO run visits. If you haven't been on a visit to NICO, it's a really valuable day. I learn a huge amount every time I go there. Next example, the court service. I think this is a really important example for us right now. The court service, there was 500 courts across the UK. There's going to be nearer 400 in the future. In terms of how they developed Lean, and they do use Lean in the court service, a kind of a pure Lean model, they used a very minimal input of consultants at the beginning to get that skills into the organisation. And since then, they've been developing their own people. So they've got about 70 change agents now fully trained up and working with Lean. And I think they've got about 65% of the court service covered with this approach. Yeah, so targeted investment, building capability within, and then driving it across this kind of quite large and disparate organisation. The benefits you can see down the side here, they may feel quite small. 40 hours saved a week opening post, 2.5 staff saved at the counter. Now, if you think of that times 400, then actually you realise actually these numbers are significant, and this really is only the beginning. The RAF, I got to go and visit a tornado servicing base in Marham. Fantastic day out, really enjoyed my day out. Got to see a tornado taking off, which was very exciting.